Everybody is Doom here from Dungeons and Doom Biscuit. Good morning. Hey, so I'm working on a town called Burg, and even though I do have a lot of town prop stuff for town fights and that, I'd like to make some stuff here to show you guys how you can make some easy crap. So I have some stuff I've kind of made here just to show different parts of the process or different ideas you can make. And I guess we could always go upstairs into the D&D room and see what's up there. But let's start with the basic concept is having something that's an inch or just a little bit over an inch big. Strips of foam for this is good because you can put anything with an inch of base on something to stand on, and if you were making a cart or something, you can put stuff on it. So you don't want to make it too small to where miniatures can't stand on it. So let's make a I don't know. Let's make a little. I don't know. Here's a miniature. Let's make a table. We're gonna make a long table, like maybe a shopkeeper's table or something. It might be at like a booth outside, something like that. So all you need to do is find your center point of your table. Draw some lines on it like that to make some wood texture. Maybe yours has a couple planks holding it together. Maybe yours is made out of a couple planks. Maybe not. Maybe yours are just big long boards. Now these are cartoony and large for a miniature, keep in mind. But remember what I said about theater in previous videos. You're creating an image, and even though the scale might be off and silly, people can see what it's supposed to be, and it'll spark their imagination a little better in theory, because that's why we do theater, right? So then I'm just going to make some wood grain in there with my pen. And it's nothing spectacular. You don't want to go overboard. Some people are like real into this, and they use like wire brushes and stuff, and you can totally do that. I did that yesterday on the roof of that house. I'm just poking little holes to be where nails could be. Now on the sides here, you just make a little cut where those boards end. Okay. Oops. Now on the sides of your table, and if you want your table to be a little beat up or whatever, you could just get something to push like a crack into it or a hole into it. Like I could just push this kind of down in here. Push that plank down a little bit so it doesn't meet up perfectly. And that'll be okay. So then, since this is going to be like a vendor booth, which I made one already, but we'll make another one. What we want to do is we want to get it a little bit shorter. And you want to try to get this cut in half as close to the middle as you can, like that. Yeah. And this is going to be let's hope these are about the same. Oh, they're almost perfect. That's what we wanted, perfection-ish. Perfection-ish, notice I said. So I'm going to just cut a line, kind of bisecting that. Thin line of hot glue. You don't want the glue to stick out, so you want to kind of minimize how much you put on there. And then get that kind of centered up. And bring it in a little bit from the edge, just like that. Squeeze it tight. And then you already have your end pieces here. So just get a little tiny bit of glue. I'm just going to bring that in a little teeny bit from the edge and cut that off. I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Push that down. Let it set. Then I'm going to cut that little excess off. I'm just coming a little bit, like I said, in from the inside like that. Doesn't have to be perfect. All right. Then I'm going to drag my board line, and I'm just going to use that same line I have there. And you don't really have to worry about the inside too much there. What you can do, so that you have something to hold on to while you're painting it, is you can cut a piece of glue stick or a stick or whatever you have, really. Or you could stick tack it if you wanted, but that ruins the stick tack. I'm just going to get a little glump of glue on the end of this. Okay. Hold on, I'm going to sneeze. Oh, excuse me. Alright, so we need a paint handle. I'm just going to use that here. I'm going to glue that to there. And you can reuse these glue stick chunks in other crafts. So what I have here is some beige and khaki and some matte Mod Podge and a little bit of water. I'm going to add a little bit more water real quick. Okay. And you want this kind of wet. And you're going to get in here. Now, there's a couple different ways you can go about painting these, and I've experimented with a couple different things this morning as I've been doing this. I didn't come down here to, immediately to make a video. I was just doing some like fun crafting, because I've noticed since I started the channel that I need to take time to do, like, just enjoy myself and not be recording it and make stuff. So I don't feel like any, it's not ruined for me. I'm enjoying it. So, anyways, you can do these dark and dry brush them out, or you can do them light and use a brown wash on them. And you don't want them all to be the same color, obviously, because, different lumbers and different ages of wood and different qualities of crafting. You don't want these to be all identical. So, now, you can always come back and paint that little dot where the glue thing was if you want to. I probably won't, but you could. But I am going to paint the inside, so if somebody flips this over to use it as a defensive position or something, or it gets, to simulate that you can move it around and stuff. I want there to be some color under there. Okay. So once you get that all painted up, you kind of pull out some of your excess paint, so that it's not, going to take forever to dry and all that. And I have a lot of paint inside there. I'm just pulling that out with a brush and then wiping it on cardboard. Okay. So that's kind of what you have there, something like that. Let's move on. I'm going to set this in front of my fan. It's going to dry for a while. Let's get something that I have that's probably mostly dry. So this is a counter that I made as well. And you can make little props to put on these. But what I would do is I would put them on like little bases. So you can set them on there like as groups of things. And then this table can be whatever you need it to be each time. And we can make some stuff like that real quick too. But let's make a quick dark wash. I'm actually going to get one of my plastic containers and make a couple brown washes, but I didn't plan ahead. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to get some dark brown paint. Maybe. See that? Dark brown. I'm going to get some water with that brush I just used. Actually, let me do it this way. I'm just going to pour a little bit in here. Okay. And I'm going to get a little tiny dab of dish soap. Just the tiniest little dab of dish soap on my brush. That's probably more than I needed. Okay. I'm going to darken that up as dark as I want it to be, and I think that'll be dark enough right there. We could go a little darker, but I don't really see the need. So then, just kind of lay it on there. If you don't have a shop where you can make a mess, it'd behoove you to kind of put this on a plate or something to dry, because it will be doing some dripping. Okay. And you could come back and dry brush that with a gray or really anything you wanted to at that point, or you could just leave it this way. But I'm pretty pleased with that. It's going to look all right. The reason I say gray, by the way, hold on, let me get something to wipe this little piece of toilet paper. The reason I say wipe it with gray is because, like, a lot of people use yellow, and yellow is fine if you want your wood to look new. But, like, these people probably use these, they're peasants. They're probably using this year after year. So I dry brush a little bit of gray and make it look kind of dried. But that's just how I do it. So anyways, here's pretty much what we just built, right? I did base coat the one I did here lighter. But, so all I'm doing is making little shop stands of different heights and lengths and widths. Now, you can do some other stuff too. Like this is a table. Like for a tavern or a bar or just to be outside. This is a bench. But having stuff like this to create some things you can interact with in a fight can be really good. This is a cart. And it rolls. It's just got a piece of straw and a toothpick with the buttons for wheels. And you could get really into detail with that if you wanted to. You could put a little piece across these and have it on a horse or something, pulling it, or a bull, and you could, make a stack of hay. Let's make a couple things real quick to show you kind of stuff you could do, really. So let's say you want to make like a box, a crate. The easiest thing to make crates is to get a bigger piece of foam. Something like this. All right, then you want to cut it with like a drawing motion or whatever, like where you're sliding back and forth, so you get a cleaner cut. Because if you just force it through there, you're going to get a rough cut. If you want this to be a crate. And usually I don't just do crates by themselves. I do like a stack of crates, right? And you can take your time to make this perfectly squared if you wanted. I'm not going to. So if you want this to be a crate, let me cut that off. Okay. See what I'm saying about the rough cut? Let's get a little base. Where are those bases at? These are called bingo counters or something. And this will be a good base for something like this. Just find your bottom that you're going to use. Use your roughest side probably. And hit that on there. Okay. And then do your lid by just cutting tiny lines and a square around it till they meet up. And then for your top of your box, just do 2 lines like that. Something like that. For your sides, just carefully drag up. Then I'm just going to come around here and make some boards. You can do as many boards as you want. I'm going to do these with 3, I think. These don't have to be perfect. That one has 4. I'm just going to make some little wood grains occasionally on here. Doesn't have to be in every little square spot. We're just simulating that there's wood here. Okay, I'm just going to come around and smush it a little bit with my fingers, make it not perfect. And then we get something to put that on. There's just a real quick, easy thing there. Now, you're going to get your Mod Podge mix again. And you're just going to hit that up. And once that's dry, if you want to put texture on that base or anything, you could. I'm not going to. I'll just wait till this is dry, then I'll paint that with paint stuff. You could go as far as to put your pen in all those little cracks, but on something that small, I don't think it's really going to help. But I am going to wipe it with a piece of Kleenex real quick and just get some of that excess moisture off. So you can kind of see the holes and cracks. Okay, so that's the kind of texture you're going to have on your little crate, and then you can set that on a table, next to a table, or anything. Let's get a bigger base out. Let's make a pile of hay. So all I'm trying to show you is that it's really easy to do whatever you want to do with this kind of stuff. So to make my pile of hay, I'm just going to take this piece of cardboard here, or this piece of styrofoam here that I already had. I'm going to cut that down a little bit. Kind of round that off a little bit so I can work with it a little better. Something like that. Pardon me. I'm going to glue it to the 50-cent part in the middle here. And I'm going to get out my minor burning hand spell real quick. And just kind of destroy this form a little bit and make it a little sturdier actually. Okay. So when you're doing something like this, let me get a handle. Do I have any handles laying around? You would think I have 1,000 handles laying around. Here we go. We'll steal this one. I wasn't using it for anything else. So we're going to get that on there and get that on there. All right. So for our hay pile, what you want to do is you want to kind of drag it up from the base. Now you could do this with glue or a yarn or really anything. I've done several of these different ways. My favorite is to get a bunch of string. Oh, I should probably show you how to do that. We'll let that sit off to the side and go down. And I'll show you how I do the string one. Alright, so you need like a twine or a string. I have several different kinds, but what I have here is, I'm not sure what this is. It's just a thing, a spool of string I got somewhere. So what you do is you cut, shit, scissors, that kind of shit. This is a little thicker string than what I used when I did my other ones, but it'll work fine. All right. Then you need something to use for a little bit of a form. I'm just going to use this. I'm going to glue it to that base real quick. And I have the minor burning hand spell. There we go. Shouldn't have put that spell away. So then, what you want to do is you want to fold these up and cut open the bottom ends. And then you want to get a dab of glue. Drag that around and then shove it down, okay? And I made several of these, and I really liked the way they turned out. So just fold it over a couple times. Cut the end open. Okay, and then once you build all the way around the bottom like this, and you have like the structure of your pile, is when you can start doing a little more fancy, like making it look nice. But you want to get like the bottom of the pile here glued in first. To make my life a little easier, I'm going to do this. This is a mistake because this is not how I did it before. When I know something works, I should never try to do it a different way. But I am what in the business we call a dumbass. So we just want to get in here and keep making the bottom of our pile stringy. Okay. Now we gotta let that kind of air cool because I made a mistake and put too much glue. Okay, now cutting a bunch of small pieces these are how you make the sides. So you get these all to where they're all, like if you're holding them all this way, they're different lengths. And you make a line here and just kind of glue that down the best you can. Okay. And you do it more carefully than I did, obviously. I did not set out to make this should have been a video by itself, because this is a little time consuming. That's okay though. We'll rush through it. And because I think it took me about 25 minutes to make 3 of these at once, if I'm not mistaken. This is good because you can use this for small towns, big cities, whatever. You know, this kind of scatter, you can get some use out of it for different fight scenes. And by the time you make a couple passes around, it'll start to be a little more serious looking. Okay, now for the top here, you want to get a good bit of glue hot and let it kind of soak in. And if you can open these up and make different strings out of them, at least partially, that will be better. You just kind of fill it in, and then you can soak it in Mod Podge and water, or you can soak it in super glue, or whatever you want to firm it up. I will probably just use some tan and yellow mixed, some beige and yellow mixed. But this is like the super basic easy mode one. The ones I made are a little more detailed. Hey, but you know, this is going to take forever if I pull all these strings apart and do it like I did when I did mine. And also I had smaller string too. So for the top, where the pile kind of lays over itself, try to pull these apart the best you can. When I did this, I was also 5 or 10 years ago when I had better fingers, before my fingers decided to just completely give up on me. Okay. All right. Now all these pieces here, they're glued in. Kind of open those up the best you can with something sharp. A needle or a poker tool like this one. Okay. I am going to do a Mod Podge paint job on this. And I also might come back and super glue it some too. I haven't decided. We'll see how it turns out, and then that's a lot of what I do. Is I don't really have a plan. I just kind of come make shit. Like these I made before, but and you can spray paint this black or white or whatever you want to do. You know what I mean, to paint it. But I had this Mod Podge mixed here, and if I hadn't had it on that base, I totally would have just left it like this. But that base is going to stick out like a sore thumb. Okay. There you go. I mean, even right now you could see that if that was dry and you dry brushed that a little bit, you could totally make a decent hay pile out of that. Set that up in front of the fan. Oops. Let's go back to this one here that we were working on. So this one's the easy one. Now you just come back through here and you create some texture in this first layer. Let me show you what you do here. You just keep adding a little bit of glue and dragging through the heat and making texture. Okay. Just like that. Now, dragging a couple pieces here and there down like that. Let those start to cool. And then you can do the same thing, add some texture to those. And okay, now let's get our Mod Podge mix. You can see instantly there's a ton of texture on there. And you can also see where you messed up too. But if you took your time, you probably didn't mess up. This is super easy to do. Anybody can make a hay pile just like that, no problem. And then, you know, let that dry, spray paint it down, do a beige, do a tan and yellow, do a white and yellow, you know, too easy. All right. So making scatter's pretty easy. You can see that for a city. You've probably all done it before. But, I mean, literally that spool of string's older than most of you, or some of you at least. And that foam board is still the same third of a piece of foam board I started with my house yesterday, and I have a ton of that left. I didn't even go out and buy a new piece of foam board, so I'm just using scraps from another project. So you can see it's easy to make this stuff. It's as long as you have the Mod Podge or glue or something to make it a little more durable, that helps. But any of you can be doing this stuff. I want you to know that. This is not rocket science. This is not difficult. So thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Please like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell icon, leave a comment. What else could you do? That's about it. That's all you can do. Come to the website, buy some miniatures if you want to help out with the miniature buying thing. That's a big deal. That's exciting. We have a discount code in my description. And come to the Discord. Hang out. I did have to cancel our RPG night last night. Tomorrow comes Doom night, but I got called out to work. That was unfortunate. But next weekend we should be back on for playing on Saturday. So thank you everybody so much for watching. Be safe.